You sure?
All right. Good evening, everybody. We're going to call to order this regular meeting of the Saugerties Central School District School Board, December 9th, 2025. Designation of emergency exits. We have one at the rear of the room and one on the left and the right. Ms. Carney, would you do roll call, please?
Christine Bellarosa.
Here.
Katie Emerson-Hoss.
Here.
Michelle Gramaglia.
Here.
Robert Toman. Tina Arizeri.
Here.
Carol Kelder.
Here.
Michael Meyer. Jeffrey Ozzie.
Here.
Timothy Wells.
Here.
Adriana Argueta.
Pledge of Allegiance.
The United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dr. Rohrbach, mission and vision statements, please.
Mission statement: we provide equitable, engaging, inspiring, and holistic experiences that support success and empowerment for students, families, and the community in a diverse and changing world. The vision statement: we are a beacon of educational excellence, where every individual is inspired and able to achieve their fullest potential.
Okay, moving on. First thing is approval of minutes of our November 18th meeting. I have a motion to approve those minutes. By Ms. Bellarosa, seconded by Ms. Kelder. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Dr. Rohrbach, Sawyer Soar.
Okay, so for this month's Sawyer SOAR certificate, I want to recognize the people who rarely seek the spotlight but absolutely deserve it. Our business office, transportation office, and buildings and grounds teams keep the district running quietly, consistently, and with extraordinary commitment. Their behind-the-scenes work is a powerful reminder of what looks like when a community chooses to serve others through action, not applause. They ensure that teaching and learning can happen safely every single day. On snow days, while we're warm and at home, our buildings and grounds staff are already out clearing the way. And imagine where we'd be without the people who manage our budget, pay our bills, and keep our benefits in order. In honor of their essential work, our business manager, Mr. Mike Stager, will present this month's Sawyer SOARS certificate.
Good evening. Tonight I would like to recognize Kristen Wellham with the Sawyer SOARS Certificate of Achievement. Ms. Wellham is the transportation supervisor for the district, and she is responsible for overseeing the safe transportation of nearly 1,900 of our students, 57 students living in district attending non-public schools, and about 30 McKinney-Vento students. Transportation is one of our most challenging, complex, and high-pressure areas of the school district, and Ms. Wellham handles that with a calm composure and complete professionalism. Her day often begins before the sun rises to pick up students to transport them to our schools. And on days like today, it doesn't end until 5 p.m. when I saw the bus pulling into the parking lot. Her job isn't a normal 9-to-5 office job. She is a one-person team responsible for creating and managing bus routes for all eligible students for transportation. Even if they aren't riding the bus, she needs to have a seat for them on the bus in case they were. She also manages organizing transportation for all of our field trips, our sports buses, and late buses. She needs to keep up with state mandates and regulations, and she knows the district transportation policy inside and out. In the event of an emergency, Ms. Wellham also responds to any bus accidents with our students on them. She handles these situations with complete care and compassion for the students and professionalism as well. And in the event of adverse weather, she also handles doing the road checks. So she is out on the roads to ensure that they're safe enough for our buses with our students to attend, or whether we should delay or close school. Without her work, nothing we do in these buildings is possible. She is truly an unsung hero of the district. On behalf of the district, I want to thank her for her outstanding work and commitment to our students, staff, and community. Our district is better and safer because of her work.
Okay. Next up, our Cahill Elementary School update. So if you guys have noticed, we've made a little change this year. Last year, we used to go to each elementary school. And being the acoustics and the sound and things were very different across every building we were in, we decided this year to change it up a little bit. So each month we will do a different elementary school. So last month was Grantee Morse, and we have Miss Cahill and Miss Pipitone here for Cahill.
Roadshow.
Yeah.
Check. Well, thank you to the Board of Education and the Saugerties community for inviting us to present today. We're very excited to speak to Cahill and what's going on. Click.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, all right. So I am Laura Cahill, principal of Cahill Elementary.
Patricia Pipitone, assistant principal, Cahill.
We find ourselves often twinning when we don't need to. And that was our Pie the Principal fundraiser that we had at our fall festival. Pretty much we'll do anything for $1 for our PTA, so that was good. Right, so Cahill by the numbers. We have over 400 students in our building. We have 3 sections of each grade. And we have 96 students who have IEPs, individual education plans, that were identified through the CSE, Committee on Special Education. We have 20 students who have 504 plans, and we also have 5 special classes in our school. ALP is our alternative learning program. Those are for students who have a therapeutic need as part of their program. We partner with Rockland Children's Psychiatric Center to provide the clinical component to our program, and they get daily group and weekly individual sessions along with our small class size and education support through our staff. ABC Academy is our academic behavior and communication group. Those are for students who typically are neurodivergent. They might have some communication challenges that get supported through speech language pathology services, and may have some movement or sensory concerns that are supported through OT, occupational therapy, and physical therapy. We have grades K1, grades 2, 3, and grades 4, 6 classes there. We also have ENL, English as a New Language program. That program has been growing steadily over the years, you can see, since 2021. At current, we are at 61 students. I think there is maybe a perception that there are a lot of Spanish-speaking students in our community, and yes, there are, but we also have students, as you can see, from China and from Nepal and from Uruguay and Ukraine, so it's quite a worldly center over at Cahill. All right, so I did want to talk a little bit about some iReady growth from the last school year. So as a building, we scored at the end of the year with reading at 57% at or above grade level, which grew from 28% at the beginning of the year. And in math, we ended our school year at 53% at or above grade level, which grew from 16% at the beginning of the year. We did hear from Mrs. Jean Greco at her presentation that as a department, as an elementary group, we did look at the data and noticed that our June data and then our September data really showed quite a disparity, and we really want to focus and target on how we can make sure that that summer slide doesn't happen as strongly this year. So we're working on that this school year. So some of the things that we're doing to support academic excellence is our brag board. It is a way that teachers can highlight and showcase students' exceptional work that's in our main hallway area. Our enrichment times that we have through our special areas. There's an example here of a student who was reading Snowflake Bentley, one of my favorite books from our library media specialist, and then utilized and designed their own snowflake crystal using marshmallows and some toothpicks. We have school celebrations and events. The top right is a picture of Frances Murphy, who is a retired Saugerties teacher. She was also a Navy cryptologist, and so she was able to come in and teach kids about coded messages, and they worked on how to break some codes, which was fun for their 4th grade group. And then we have data chats as school teams, as adults, but we also are seeing our teachers use these chats with their students. The bottom right picture is showing our 5th grade math class with Ms. Monroe, where she's actually looking at class-wide data and then developing a goal to address that data and improve that the kids are a part of.
So we have building level supports. We have academic and behavioral MTSS, tier 1 at the classroom level, and then tier 2 and 3 are more targeted approaches to where their needs are and are in smaller groups.
So on the social and emotional learning end, we do have our school psychologist and school social worker doing tier 1 interventions with all of our students. So we have for kindergarten and 1st grade what we call lunch bunch, and it's when our students in those grades meet with our team during their lunch period, and it's a more pragmatic social language kind of turn taking and that kind of work. And then grades 2 through 6 are push-ins. You can see this is a picture of Miss Tammy working with a grade 5 class, utilizing her Google Classroom, where there are very specific social and emotional targets that are being addressed in those classes. The team also does crisis support in the building. They have their own IEP or 504 caseload that they're working in counseling. They develop behavior plans. They conduct risk assessments. The list probably does go on and on. One of the new things that are happening this year is that they've developed a staff newsletter and behavior intervention toolbox. So those are materials for the staff to utilize when they have questions about, my student is having trouble with this, or what can we do about this? There's some nice offerings for our staff through our school social worker and school psychologist.
So our MTSS building supports for math and literacy. Tier 2 and 3 supports focusing for math on numbers and operations, and literacy, the vocabulary development. They are small group targeted instruction, and there is push-in help. We're able to provide this year push-in help with our MTSS teachers, offering reinforcement in the classrooms on those key concepts.
Under professional culture, we are doing PLCs, which are professional learning communities. So that's when we get our grade level teams or our department teams together. We have an MTSS and an ENL PLC as well. And we speak as groups to the data that we're seeing within the people that they're working with, in their own classes, their own grades. And we have actually developed something this year called the Growth Collective, and it is our lead special education teacher, our school psychologist, our MTSS math teacher, MTSS literacy teacher. So we have the continuum of interventionists in the building that meet with myself, and we really take a very close look at the students who are already in the process of getting intervention services, and really making sure that we're supporting our teachers and focusing our interventions and really following the data so that we can make sure that we're moving the students along in a way that will be very efficient. We have building committees, M&M, which is Momentum and Mission. We have STEAM committee, Safety committee, BLT. We have a PTA liaison committee so that some of our teachers will go to the PTA meetings and share it with our teams. Professional development, we have district level PDs, superintendent conference days, building level trainings that we have with all staff and teaching and learning meetings. And then a lot of our staff do also explore their own individualized learning through courses at the Mid-Hudson Teacher Center and other sort of resources that are out there. I am proud to say that we have 15 teachers who have obtained the New Paltz Science of Reading credential. Actually, Trish and I both obtained that as well, just spending our knowledge. We have teachers that are getting Gordon Gillingham trained, Wilson trained, and exploring their own passions and subjects like technology as well. I also want to share that our school nurse, our school social worker, and our school psychologist all hold national certification in the area of their work. We also, this year, have partnered with Educator Edge, which is Ulster BOCES, with Ulster BOCES Innovation Specialist Molly Cahill, no relation. So fun, I've never had so many Cahills in one spot. But she works towards her regional trainer credentialing through the Consortium of School Networking, COSIN, Building Capacity for Generative AI and K-12 Education Initiative. So with her guidance, Cahill is piloting COSIN's AI Maturity Toolkit, which is very exciting. It's assessing our current readiness, and it's beginning to shape a roadmap that we can use as a building to have a future-focused use. We're leveraging our partnership to gain momentum and scale this work potentially across all of the schools. And we want to make sure that we are identifying and utilizing this very important technology that is going to be present in all of our lives. So we're very excited to have that support with Ulster BOCES. We are one of 2 buildings in the county that's doing this. It's very exciting. It's free training from us. At this time, I would love to invite one of our star students to come on up.
Good evening, my name is Audrey Hanline. I'm a Community Relations Officer for our Student Council. I was at Marion for pre-K kindergarten, 1st and 2nd grade. I came to Cahill in 3rd grade when Mount Marion closed. I wasn't looking forward to moving schools, but it turned out okay. Now I have more friends and look forward to seeing my Mount Marion friends in the junior high school next year. Our community is proud, our school community is proud of our concerts, our assemblies, and our Around the World project that all the classes took part in. Many students tell me that they want to sit with their friends from other classes at lunch, so we're talking with Ms. Cahill about how to make that happen. Students love to socialize with their friends and like the opportunity to work with them on class projects. When I was at Mount Marion, we participated in a black light color fun run. After school, everybody came with their families and participated in an obstacle course. Everyone got a special shirt and got splattered with glow-in-the-dark paint while they ran through. Local food trucks came and you could buy food. There was also an animal presenter who showed off his yellow boa constrictor. I would like to see something like that happen at Cahill this year. We appreciate your support and thank you for listening to me. Have a good night.
Yep.
Shirt on.
Thank you, Audrey. So also with the Sawyer Student Experience, thank you for sharing yours. We are also proud to talk about some of our partnerships. So we have partnered with the high school, with Janice Martin for science, and with Sarah Elia for ENL, visiting Cahill and working with our students. We've also partnered with Ulster BOCES, their agriculture and animal science program with Lisa Baker. And the feedback so far, the students are really loving the experience that they are having with them. So that is being offered this year to 3rd and 4th graders. And they visit once a month each of the classrooms. So that is serving 6 of our classes at Cahill. And they're using our garden for, standards-based inquiry learning experiences. And it's being developed by the students in her program. So it is benefiting, both groups of students. We have planned literacy, math and STEM nights. The spelling bee is underway, a science fair planned. As was mentioned already, the Around the World projects, forgetting the foster puppy program, which is something that has been a lot of fun. There's a picture there of it. We had a student who even was creating, a hat and little things to go along with their puppy. And they write in a journal and then they share, the adventures that they have with the puppy. So that has been a lot of fun. Check and connect, that's another important one I didn't want to forget. That's developed at the University of Minnesota, targeting tier 2 and tier 3 mentoring intervention, connecting and belonging. So we have staff signing up to mentor and work with students in the building. Safety patrol is also something that is being developed, working with students to, get a peer ally leadership safety team. So.
What is what's the check and connected? Is it around is the mentoring around a particular area or?
So this was a program that was developed at university, that really wanted to target our students with attendance challenges. And so for us, that's where it started. We looked at students who had some challenges this school year already, and then historically in the last couple of years. But we also acknowledge that there are some students that maybe are attending school but may have some temporary challenges. Maybe something happened with an illness in the family, or the family had to move or something like that. And so it's just putting students on our radar with the focus of connection and belonging. Because if they feel that connection to people in school, they may have an easier time waking up in the morning or coming to school. So really the attendance is the focus, but really it's making sure that we're looking at all of the students who may potentially be having, some struggles that will impact how they manage throughout the day.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
I also wanted to share a little bit about the safety patrol too. We're gonna call PALs because we do have quite a number of students who move out and move into our schools. And so we have a lot of students who are new to the district after the school year starts. So it really is a way that we'll have peer allies, but give leadership opportunities, but maintain the safety. So I think that some of us may have experienced safety patrol students kind of outside helping with dismissal, but this is also a way to have some leadership and some support for the new kids too. And that's what the safety patrol goal is. Oh, we're on the next one. Okay. So family and community engagement. So we are very fortunate to have a fantastic PTA. I think all schools may say that, but I think for us, the assemblies, the trunk or treat, the fall festivals, the Meet Teachers, all these events that are planned through our PTA have been wonderful. I think that this year, though, there's been a concerted effort to try to match their events with things that are happening in our building. So for example, fall festival coincided with our Countries of the World project, so the families could see and the students could show off their projects while the families were in our building for that PTA event. We're going to have a Magic of Reading assembly the month that we do our literacy night, so things like that. So pairing up those events are very helpful. Our student council worked with our Saugerties American Legion. They raised $720 for the Saugerties American Legion by selling the flags that maybe you have seen if you drove by in front of our building. We support local food pantries and animal shelters through donations with our school. In February, we had guest readers as part of our integration into our reading program. Some of you actually came and joined and read to our kiddos, and we're going to be doing that again. And then this spring, we're going to plan a family picnic because we've heard from a few families that they'd love to have lunch with their kiddos. We just don't have the space in our cafeteria to do that. And so we're going to have kind of all grade, all class picnic outside out front for families to join. So that's something that we're thinking of having when the weather gets nicer. And I think we have our lovely Big Apple Crunch picture, apple-shaped building picture. Thank you. It's your time.
Thank you. Thank you.
Anybody have any questions? No questions?
Great.
Dr. Haas?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I would ask.
Ms.
Laura?
Cahill?
Laura, wait, don't
We
run
may
away
have
yet.
some questions.
I'd like to hear more about this AI maturity toolkit.
Yes. So that's definitely going to take another session to talk about. But what actually, it stemmed from attending a superintendent conference day that Dr. Rohrbach planned that Ulster BOCES people came and spoke about. And one of the people were speaking about AI tools, and we were sitting in, that room was full. And I was sitting next to my library media specialist, and we were very excited about this prospect. And so I reached out to this person because they were having some kind of like roundtable kind of chats that they were planning for this school year. And she shared that there was this opportunity to develop this AI toolkit, but only for 2 schools, and that we were lucky enough because we were partnering with this Molly Cahill, who was going through her training, to be one of those schools. It's really a way for us to kind of take stock about what our goals are, where we are with the use of this kind of technology, and what it could be helpful for, what our goals are with it. There are 862 things that you can do with AI, right? But what are our goals at this point in time, and where do we see us try to see it being useful in the future? We know that students are using it. We know that it is a tool that can be helpful for students, but it's also a tool that can be helpful for staff and for the adults that are working. And so we are working, it is our math lead teacher in the building, it is our ENL teacher, it is our library media specialist and myself. And we're working, so it's a quite eclectic group of people doing AI. And we're working with the specialists to identify areas that we think are important for us at this time. So for example, how do we integrate curriculum support with AI tools? How do we look at identifying and knowing what is even out there to know what to use? And so that's part of this process. We've had 10 sessions already. I've met with this person for 10 sessions. We have, I think, 4 more to go. And then we will develop a plan based upon our goals of this is the information that we've identified, and these are the areas that we'd like to explore. So we're kind of halfway in it, but when we're done, I'd love to be able to share that out and let you know what we've found that we're ready to kind of do the next step on exploring. But at this point, we're really kind of talking about what is out there, what is important for us to know, and how do we get that information, and how do we explore and identify, frankly, the people who are going to be like the teacher leaders or the leaders in use, to then expand it from there.
Okay.
I have a follow-up. Are you,
I had one other thing, but
I just follow up on that question though, the AI question?
yes.
So as educators, how do you actually describe to the elementary school children what AI is? Like, how does that conversation happen if it's happening at all?
Well, that's the question. So part of our work is that even happening at all? Are we having these discussions about what these technology tools are? And we're not finished with the work, but it's not happening as much as we think it could. But that's kind of what we're hearing about regionally too. Like that's not anything new. I think the idea of technology integration and AI especially is something that's very new. And so it didn't surprise the trainer that this is where kind of we're identified as where we're at.
Yep.
But I think that we call it a tool. It is one tool that you can use in the box of tools that you have that may be helpful to explore. Just like we have when we read a book to a student, so that's another tool. You can read, but you can also put on your headphones and listen to the story too. So it's just, that's how it would probably be identified as just, another thing for you to try and look at if you wanted to explore it, but certainly not something that would take the place of just another tool that you have at your disposal.
Thank you.
Sakina.
This is Rosario.
Oh, sorry.
The other thing I wanted to bring up, because Ms. Pepitone was talking about the partnership with Ulster Bosse's Agriculture, and I know that we have an agriculture person at the high school now. It woke up a conversation that I'd had probably over a year ago, and because the cow flop gets heavy use with Cahill, just that if there was any way sometime in the future a conversation could be had, all of the homes on the, I'm going to say, further away from the school. Since a lot of work was done to cut down vegetation there, those homes experience flooding a lot, and whenever there's heavy rains. I've talked to different groups about this, the environmental groups in town and things, about it would really be a great project, the elementary, the high, junior and senior high school, if we talked about rain gardens that could be planted along there to absorb some of the moisture that's coming off the cow flop and impacting our community members. Just because that piece of land gets such heavy use by our school district. Just taking the opportunity to throw that out there.
When I started, I want to say that we don't own that land, right? Is that the case? That's not a Saugerties owned land?
It is.
But we still are welcome to use it, and we do.
Right, and the school district controls and manages it.
Oh, okay.
Because, and I only know that because I was there to help pull, and brought friends to help pull trucks that were there during the farmer's market, pulled them out of the mud on a couple of occasions when my son worked for the farmer's market. And they said, we have to repair this because the school district is gonna get on our case. Anyway, so the district apparently manages that land. And anyway, I thought, just because we were mentioning BOCES and agriculture, and it just came together as an idea off the cuff, just real quick.
Explore that with them.
Right. Sure.
What they can do to help us with that.
Great. All right, thanks.
Oh, I have one. I just have one question. So I love that idea of having a behavioral toolbox. And so is that part of the newsletter, or is that a separate sort of shared
Separate little
space?
shelf, if you have a concern, you kind of walk over.
It's a literal shelf.
It's a literal shelf with little pamphlets.
Oh, okay, because I was imagining like a Google space that could then be sort of shared across the elementary schools,
Oh.
right? So then teachers could really go and sort of do a search for, spitting. What do I do about spitting? Or, anyway, so I was just sort of curious where that shared space was. So it's
a hard copy, but you're right.
it's a literal space.
It's a literal space.
Okay.
I can definitely explore that with the team.
Okay,
and see if
great.
we can kind of
Thank you.
advertise it. That's a great idea.
All right, anybody else? All right, thank you, Ms. Pipitone, thank you, Ms. Cahill. Okay. And I just, if anybody else gets pinged, I've had a couple people complain that the YouTube is lagging and they're only able to hear every other word, so Ms. Carney is just letting Rocco know. I don't know if there's anything we can do about it, but. So next up is our public recognition, so anybody who would like to address the board on any topic, since we've consolidated down into one public recognition instead of multiple, now is the time. Okay, moving on. Ms. Argueta, our student representative report.
Is it already on?
Just give it a tap, see if it,
Is that the one that has it on the bottom?
yeah,
There you go.
push that. You gotta hold it, push and hold it for a second, see if it, there you go.
There you go.
There you go.
That green light's
Yeah, there you go.
promising.
Can I just, nobody can hear. Can you guys talk into the microphones? I don't think they can hear you there, but we can't hear you. We're right here.
Okay, sure,
Appreciate it. Sorry about that.
that's okay.
I didn't get up in time for public recognition.
Saugerties High School. We would like to recognize our band students and directors for an outstanding concert last week. Thank you for representing our schools with such pride and excellence. Great job on a fantastic performance. Please come enjoy the upcoming chorus concert next week, December 16th at 7 p.m. We would also like to recognize our Science Olympiad team for finishing 6th out of 25 teams in Saturday's competition. The team placed top 10 in most events and represented our school with hard work and dedication. Great job by all. We are excited to invite you to the Saugerties Central School District Annual BOCES Art Show. Please join us in celebrating the incredible talent of our K-12 art students. This is a wonderful opportunity to support our young artists and witness their creativity firsthand. Event details. Date, December 5th to the 23rd. Time, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. weekdays. Location, Ulster Boces, New Paltz. Junior high. The Winterfest social mixer took place on Friday, December 5th. Students enjoyed socializing, crafting, playing ping pong, and other yard games as well as dancing. Modified sports are underway with the conclusion of tryouts last week. Staff volunteers are providing Frosty Fun workshops after school with crafting, baking, and gaming opportunities for all students. Our after-school workshops and our Builders Club will be creating holiday greeting cards for senior citizens. The Builders Club will be personally delivering these cards to the residents of the Ivy Lodge next week. Our support staff is signing out board games during lunch due to the change in weather, limiting lunchtime recess. Students are excited to interact with their peers in classic matchups like chess, Uno, and Connect Four, to name a few. Amazing project work is taking place in our classrooms, to include gnomes being sculpted in Art 7, civil rights presentations in grade 8 ELA, portfolio work in social studies using enduring issues to connect current events to history, and solar s'mores ovens being built in agriculture. S'mores. We have completed our first grand rounds of the school year and are now completing follow-up from these meetings. We are looking forward to our 5th and 6th grade band concerts tomorrow night. Last week, our 6th grade enjoyed the performance of A Christmas Carol at UPAC. We are currently running the Show Your Care food drive, which will culminate on December 22nd with a multicultural assembly by Mark Rust and the raffle to be principal for the next day in January. All food donations will be donated locally. Our next BLT meeting is December 16th at 3 p.m. and our next PTA meeting will be January 21st at 6 p.m. Riccardi. Students are looking forward to the Riccardi Holiday Shop this Thursday and Friday, as well as multiple cultural assembly with musician Mark Rust next week. After School Sign Language Club started today at Riccardi. The 6-week program is open to the 6th grade students at first, and then will open up to other grades. A big thank you to Nicole Gavner for volunteering her time to teach sign language to our 6th grade students. Riccardi's winter concert is this Thursday, December 11th at 7 p.m. Last Thursday, our 4th to 6th grade students enjoyed the UPAC presentation of A Christmas Carol featuring many students across the district. Riccardi's next PTA meeting is Wednesday, January 14th at 6 p.m. in the cafeteria, and the next building leadership team meeting is January 21st at 3:10 p.m. in the library. Cahill. We had our band and choral winter concert last Thursday, which was a great introduction to our music programs. Last Thursday, 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade classes enjoyed the UPAC presentation of A Christmas Carol. We were happy to cheer on some of our students who were performing on stage. We will welcome Mark Rust Music Around the World Assembly on December 12th. Our PTA holiday shop will be the week of December 15th. Our next PTA meeting is January 7th at 4:30 in the cafeteria.
All right, thank you. Do you have any questions for Adriana? No? Okay. Superintendent's report, Dr. Rohrbach.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Adriana. That was very comprehensive. It's nice to hear the report out about every single school, so thank you so much. Today, I was thanking a dear colleague from Ulster Boces about how she is helping us with some literacy work, specifically multisensory work with Orton Gillingham. And she said to me, community is a verb, not a noun. And I was immediately struck by the weight of that statement. A community that truly elevates and edifies one another isn't defined by geography. As a noun, community is just a place on the map. But as a verb, community becomes a force, one that can lift people up, create change, and when used wisely, heal, protect those who need us most. When we choose to community together as a verb, We choose action over observation, or we choose our comments on social media. We choose responsibility over comfort, and we choose to move forward together, tethered by a shared mission and vision and shared belief that Saugerties is and must continue to be a beacon of excellence. We, as you've heard tonight from Mrs. Cahill, Mrs. Pipitone, Adriana, we have a lot of excellence happening. So I just want to celebrate a few more things. Cahill this week, Cahill, and it's not surprising after you heard that presentation, was named Best Elementary School in U.S. News for 2026 this week. Congratulations. That's based on New York State tests, their growth, and how they are preparing students for high school. And I would just say, we're not preparing students for the next school, we're preparing students for life and to be global learners, and that's the difference we're making. 91 students qualified as scholar athletes, and this balances academic rigor with competitive play. 42 families and community members joined our Sawyer Family and Community Learning Series. This was the first time we offered this. It's online. Families have anonymity. We don't know who they are, so they can sign up for the autism workshop, they can sign up for the suicide workshop, they can sign up for anything. And as a school, we don't know who the families are, we just know that they're signing up because we are partnering with Building Better Futures with Dr. Jennifer Bachant. We are excited to host our Plan Pilots Mentor School from Jamaica Queens, Thomas A. Edison. Will be visiting this week to provide peer feedback, support, and accountability to us as we deepen our work with project-based learning and alternative assessments. And a huge thank you to Sawyer Motors, who donated a generous donation to our Key Club, which is coordinating a beautiful outpouring of community generosity to ensure students in need have a much-needed food for the weekend. It goes in the backpack. And it's a powerful reminder of how compassion becomes action. And it's also a powerful reminder to me that our students want to take action and support our community when we give them the opportunity. And as Adriana mentioned, you know, right now we have an outpouring of joy with our holiday concerts. We hope you come and hear the progression of how our students are learning to play their instruments and sing together. So this season, I ask you to lean into community as a verb. Let's be a community that takes care of our students, a community that takes care of ourselves, because this is a helping profession and compassion fatigue is real, and a community that takes care of one another. If we do that consistently and courageously, we won't just have a community, we'll be a Sawyer community of excellence.
All right, thank you, Dr. Rohrbach. Next up is curriculum and instruction, and we have an update on science of reading.
So I'm going to jump in. I want to introduce this a little bit. Not a little bit. I'm going to introduce this. So 2 years ago, we had 4 instructional coaches. The work is vast. The work has not gone away, and now we have 1 instructional coach. This year, I have had to drastically change the work that Dr. Jennifer Schleber has had to do, much to her chagrin. We need to change the assessments for literacy so that we can be aligned to the science of reading, and that has really been a huge component of our work this year. So the one-on-one support, the one-on-one modeling in the classroom for right now, until we have more support, this is the top priority so we can be aligned. And she's gonna open with how we, as a district, have been working hard to align to the science of reading and why it's needed and how it's connected to the New York State Literacy Initiative. So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Warbeck. Can anybody hear me?
No.
No.
Yeah, pull it closer,
Closer. Dr. Roxinger, right?
and I think
on?
you have to turn it on.
Is it on?
There's a button on the
Switch on the
back
top.
end. Is it? Is that the old one?
There, now.
There we go.
I can hear you
now. All right. Okay, so as Dr. Warbeck said, my name is Dr. Jen Schlaber, and I am currently the literacy coach in the district. Not doing a lot of coaching at the moment, but doing a lot of professional development of our faculty, which has been a joy and a challenge both, which I always love, okay? So in my office, if you visit my office, there is a poster on the wall that is the literate graduate. And that poster was created in 2022 with the help of Dr. Warbeck and my coaching pals at the time. And that poster describes literacy-based abilities that we aim for every Saugerties graduate to be able to take with them off into the world. So things like interpreting complex texts and critically thinking about skillfully responding to media and carrying stories and ideas from diverse viewpoints. So that poster guides the work that I do every single day, both on my own in front of a computer and with lots of teachers throughout the district. So my purpose tonight is really to highlight just some of the many ways that we are working to develop that literate graduate of Saugerties. So first I'm gonna start with a bit of a refresher, and this is based off of Dr. Warbeck's January 2025 presentation with the introduction of science of reading, which is bringing about necessary changes in literacy instruction and assessment globally and nationally and at state level, and is doing that also through current and future legislation, things that are in the Senate right now in our state, that are shaping what we do every day in Saugerties. So New York State began their efforts to align with the science of reading in the 23-24 school year for the most part. They started with this literacy initiative, and in January 25 is when they released the literacy briefs, which basically guide how science of reading is understood and enacted in our pre-K through 12 classrooms. One key piece of that being that the state no longer is just concerned with the outcomes of literacy instruction with the standards, but how teachers achieve those standards, how our students achieve those standards, which means specific and very well-grounded methods of instruction and assessment. So we, which are focused on the big six, okay? Oral language, phonological awareness, phonics, comprehension, fluency, and vocabulary. Each piece of those could take an entire semester of a college course to talk about. But we have spent since 2023 really focusing on the understanding each of those components and the kinds of instruction, structured literacy instruction, that needs to come to our students, which varies depending on their developmental level. And then helping those students to take that very structured literacy instruction and orchestrate all of that together to actually read and comprehend well. So it requires our teachers to do a lot of intentional instruction, modeling, and practice combining those 6 components in a variety of texts. So over the past couple of years, as I said, we've focused on structured literacy instruction, and we continue to do that. Since 2021, that shift in literacy instruction to a structured approach has helped us to align our curriculum and our materials to the science of reading. And this slide I know people have seen before, but over the last 2 years in particular, we've had a very strong dedication. Our teachers have dedicated many, many hours to professional learning in the science of reading and focused on the instruction aspect. Some key points of that being the Wilson Reading Program, multisensory literacy instruction. Also in last year, we started and launched the Writing Revolution, which is, we talk a lot about reading, but writing is also part of the science of reading as well, and the intersection of writing and reading. So I'm gonna go ahead and skip ahead to this year, what we've been doing so far, which also touches on what happened last winter and spring and summer up to this point. So a couple of highlights we had adopted the geodes, which is basically a collection of texts at the different levels from kindergarten through third grade. And these texts are very, they help students to build their background knowledge, which is an enormous part of comprehending text, but also helps them to practice and enact the decoding skills that they've been learning through foundations. And teachers receive training on that, I wouldn't say it's a program, but that approach and those materials in October and November of this year. Over the summer, Anna Zivian, my colleague, was gracious enough to help us out with some curriculum mapping for kindergarten through third grade, which included the use of geodes and the writing revolution. In addition, the curriculum mapping that was done K through 6 also brought in the writing revolution and is helping all of our teachers to kind of pace, you know, what specific writing skills are we teaching and when with the writing revolution approach. So with that, we're seeing a lot of growth from our students, specifically with complex sentence structure, well-organized paragraph writing, building language skills that enable advanced thinking, and having more confidence as writers. So that's been a blessing to our district. One of the most important understandings from the science of reading is that 95% of students, including those with any kind of learning disabilities, can learn to read proficiently. So to accomplish that level of proficiency, we have to know a lot about what students can do and what they're struggling to do in those big 6 areas, so that we can do what is needed, such as timely and targeted intervention. So that is a very complicated and tremendous task to understand what's going on inside a reader's brain and what kinds of things are working well and what kinds of things are not working well. So in 2022, we kind of started on that journey with looking into students who were at risk of or had already developed dyslexia. And that led to us training some special ed teachers and others that became reading teachers in our district or are now using their skills in special education with students who struggle tremendously with the code, part of our reading process. As you can see on the slide, we've dedicated quite a bit of time to professional learning in these different areas in not just dyslexia, but other practices and processes that help us work with kids who struggle to learn to read. So specifically in the writing revolution, which is helping all kids, but definitely our struggling students as well, we had cohorts of teachers in the winter, cohorts in the spring, cohorts in the summer, working very, very hard to understand that writing revolution approach and put it in place across all content areas. Additionally, we had some professional development specifically with faculty that work through special education, focused on understanding what dyslexia is, how we identify dyslexia, and how we're going to start to support students with dyslexia or at risk of dyslexia in our district. And this year has been very dedicated, as Dr. Borbeck said, to literacy assessment. So shifting to using an assessment called the Qualitative Reading Inventory. All special educators K through 8 and MTSS ELA teachers were trained in the Qualitative Reading Inventory. And then both in October and November, teachers were introduced to our new literacy assessment framework, which has been in the process of being developed since 2023 and is rolling out in January. So that's what I'm going to spend the rest of my time. I didn't set a timer, unfortunately. I'm not the best timekeeper. So that's what I'm going to focus the speaking about. So first of all, what is a literacy assessment framework? Well, it's basically the answers to all these key questions. What assessments will be used and with which students? When will each assessment be administered, like when during the year, during a student's progress through school? Who will administer each assessment? Where will that data be stored? And how will data be accessed, used, and by whom? These are huge questions that take a very long time and are very complicated to figure out. So, the literacy assessment framework, let me go backward. The literacy assessment framework that's been developed also includes flowcharts for each grade level, saying, at different levels of difficulty, or students showing difficulty, we have different assessments. So at a screening level, universal screening, which will be required by the state, is in 40 plus other states. There are certain assessments that we will be giving. And then when we find that students are not meeting particular benchmarks that are research-based benchmarks in these different key skills, then that tells us something's going on with their reading process. Something's going on with their ability to learn how to read proficiently. And so then we will assess students in other areas to try to figure out where is the breakdown happening. And that will help us to provide, as I said, timely and targeted intervention. And sometimes students struggle more than that, and we have to really figure out more seriously, where is that breakdown happening? And that's really at their intervening level, and where MTSS and special education get involved, okay? So the assessment flowcharts are something that were developed over the summer and then also this fall. And as I said, teachers were introduced to those. There's a little timeline for you. We're introduced to those in October. We started in September with meetings to explain the rationale for some of the upcoming changes that were happening in literacy assessment. And then in October, we reviewed those flowcharts, began some training in some of the assessment tools, which has been ongoing throughout October. In January, we are going to practice. We're going to pilot our new literacy assessment framework. And all teachers will be assessing their students. This is not just the iReady diagnostic, the computer-based assessment, but all these assessments are administered one-on-one with individual students to figure out how students are doing in specific discrete skills that affect the reading process. So after January, where we do our first practice of enacting this literacy assessment framework, then in March, April, we're going to review the administration process as well as the data to inform revisions to that literacy assessment framework. At that point then, we'll make any small changes that we need to get ready for the June end of year benchmark assessment, which again is like practice number 2, but there are different assessments that are used at that time. And then over the summer of 2026, we will review administration processes again and review that data again so that the year 2026, 2027 will be ready to have a clear beginning, middle, and end benchmark assessment system in place. So when we do this, when we change literacy assessments in a district, it affects just about everything that goes on in the system. So report cards will need to be changed, special education qualifications will be changed, MTSS tiers and qualification will be changed. There needs to be a lot of family education about what it is that these assessments are showing us about your students or your children. Instruction will continue to change, intervention will become more targeted and effective, and also technology sometimes needs to change too. The changing of assessments is really just the tip of a gigantic iceberg that we will continue to kind of chip away at as we move along. So what's coming next? Well, as I said, we're going to pilot this new literacy assessment framework that will help us to refine our MTSS and special education identification criteria, develop goals. The special ed lead teachers have done a tremendously amazing job already starting to shift goals to more science of reading aspirations, I should say, for students and aligning better with the kinds of instruction that these students need. We will continue to do that, and as well as revise and refine our interventions. We'll also continue to work toward alignment with New York State Literacy Initiative, high impact practices of the Big Six like we have been doing in the past. A lot more professional learning in all different areas, but especially dyslexia across the district, not just with special education. We're gonna begin reviewing elementary report cards for alignment with these new assessments and instructional practices. And as always, coming from the literacy person, literacy needs to be the top priority. So what questions do you have? Yes?
Can I actually have that mic?
Of course you
It
can.
stinks.
Yeah.
Hi, how are you?
Great.
So, to me, this all seems a lot like you're building a plane while it's flying. And I just want to commend you and all of the other people that are running classrooms and running curriculum, and also like this wide scale change that obviously sounds like it's going to be very beneficial. And I very much appreciate the structured approach and the rollout. What occurs to me, and I have to make an analogy to sports because that's the world I'm familiar with and the world that I think of all the time in our family. But when I think about how important reading is and literacy is, I feel like there's such a huge opportunity for parents to support what's going on in the classroom. And I don't think it's enough for our parents in the district to just think what happens in the classroom is enough. Like we think about a kid that wants to play baseball. You don't learn all the things that you're gonna do in baseball in gym class. So the parents are willing to put in all the hours, all the time, the travel, the money for Little League or whatever, or private lessons, if they can, you know, if they have the means to do so. But the means to support your children with literacy, theoretically, you don't need to be able to take them places and do all the special things, but you need to spend the time. So how does the really high functioning districts that engage the parents, starting kindergarten, make this a priority at home? Like, how does that happen, or is that even something to think about?
Absolutely. Family literacy is extremely important. How do other districts do this? Things like the literacy night that Cahill spoke about briefly, those are important. The kinds of interactions that we have with parents and guardians and other family members at parent-teacher conferences. But there's a lot of new learning that also needs to happen about, you know, some parents know something about science of literacy or science of reading, I should say, from New York Times articles or whatnot, but there's also a lot of misinterpretation out there as well. But the kinds of things that we do at home with our kids at different ages, that's something that I believe strongly we can support through things like, yes, family literacy nights, but also providing other ways of educating people, other resources through our websites and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm thinking is like literally almost if it's like a packet that goes home or an electronic packet that says, here are ways that you can easily help support this, or here are some things to totally avoid at home. So here, if you don't want to help us advance it, at least avoid doing these things. And maybe, you know, just giving the people the roadmap, whether they follow it or not. But I mean, there's just so much to be done with literacy, and, you know, parents can help.
Absolutely.
So, agreed. On October 20th, we did offer in our Sawyer Family and Community Learning Series, ways to encourage a love of reading and strengthen your early readers' literacy skills for families and parents. So that's just one small step. We have a lot to do, and we need people to do it.
Yeah.
Can I just ask?
Yeah, go right ahead. You're on, yep.
Okay, can you hear me?
Sort of.
Okay. So I just wanted to ask a question about the New York State ELA tests. So the state is expecting you to do all of this work to align with the science of reading. What are they doing with their assessments? Have they aligned their assessments to go along with what their expectation is of the district, or?
Because truthfully, the state assessments have always aligned with the outcomes that we need to achieve.
Mm-hmm.
The science of reading piece is really more about how we get to those outcomes.
Okay.
And so the assessments themselves, because they start at third grade, they don't need to change as much as what we do on a daily basis.
And I think that's one of the misconceptions, is that people are thinking that those assessments needed to change and it's not so much reaching those outcomes. Does that make sense?
Right, no, we still need to reach those same outcomes.
Right.
It's just how we do that can change dramatically or should change dramatically to be more efficient and to catch the issues that are preventing kids from reaching those outcomes with formal instruction.
When you do the assessments and the practice assessments, will it be all students in elementary?
Yes.
So K through 6?
Elementary.
We'll have, great.
My question
Dr.
was-
Schlaber, can you talk about how quick they are, though? These aren't long assessments
Oh,
for
yes.
the literacy tests.
As
Thanks.
I mentioned, the assessments that we'll be doing are assessing or evaluating discrete skills. So for example, pseudo word decoding. So I'm giving you words that are not real words, that are maybe 3 letters, 2 letters, and you're reading those words to me.
Mhm.
When you do that to me in 60 seconds, okay, and kid doesn't know that it's 60 seconds, but we know as teachers it's 60 seconds. So when they're doing that, and as a teacher, I'm recording what they're doing, what every child is doing when they do that. I know what level of alphabetic principle they understand, like the letter sound correspondences, what patterns they understand, what patterns they don't understand, and how automatic those processes are, which is extremely important for their development of code-based skills. So every assessment, not every assessment, many assessments are about 60 seconds long per student, okay? There are others that are longer because as readers become more skilled, the kinds of things we have to look at become a little bit more complicated. So let's say in 3rd grade, 3rd through 6th grade, they're doing a passage reading fluency. Well, yes, we're looking at how automatic is their reading process, but also what is their ability to retell what they read, whether it be an informational piece or a literary piece. And their ability to retell that shows us a lot about what's happening as they read. Are they monitoring their comprehension as they read? Are they not? Are they able to determine what's important in a passage and what they're not able to determine? And so most of the assessments, they are one-on-one, which is quite time intensive, but they are quite brief. So that helps us to kind of understand the amount of time that we're putting into it.
Thank you.
How does this play out for 7th through 12th grade?
The biggest thing of how.
Because that's, reading's really important then.
Yes, well, the biggest thing is that we will identify problems quicker and we will provide targeted intervention. When I say targeted intervention, that's a phrase that's used a lot. But specifically, if we know that a student, for example, is not blending phonemes, that's a critical skill. If they can't blend sounds, phonemes, then we have to target that because it influences everything else going beyond that. So the biggest influence that I see on our 7 through 12 students and teachers and that system is that we'll have less students who are struggling to the extent that they are now. So this year we now have 2 literacy or reading specialists at the junior high because we have a lot of students who are being identified as having tremendous difficulties with decoding. And my hunch is we will catch those things earlier and will not need that level of support at the junior high in the future. But right now it's imperative because we've missed some things.
Yeah.
And this is not just us, this is all over the nation. So.
Yeah, and just to sort of piggyback on what Michelle brought up in terms of families, I mean, some high impact interventions with families is, at least in early childhood, right? So a lot of parents are not with their kids during the day when they're in elementary school because they're in school, but is just sending them a text, asking a question like, are there colors you can talk to your kids about, right? Is there language in front of you so that a parent getting that text in the supermarket with their child, with them, and that those sort of short interventions that are very, very specific around those skills really helps parents feel like they have agency and have a way to help those kids, right? Because it's not about, okay, I've got a whole curriculum I'm now implementing with my child, but it's like, oh, I can just do this one thing and talk about the fact that, you just said that word and I'm gonna now give you 5 rhyming words, right? Go with it, so.
Tell you what each word starts with.
Good evening, and thank you very much for the very comprehensive presentation. This is sort of foundational to everything that we do, so thank you for your work on it. most of my questions were answered, but I did have a question, I guess. You had mentioned dyslexia in there, and I was just wondering if there's any complementary training on dysgraphia as sort of a tangential program, so.
So our understanding of dysgraphia is not nearly as profound, I should say, or as grounded as our understanding of dyslexia.
Okay, I'll be the one.
What is
that?
Thank you.
Okay, all right.
Everybody was thinking it and nobody wanted to ask.
Oh, that's right. Did you want to say what dysgraphia is?
No, I think you,
Okay.
I'm sure you have a better.
So the best way I think to understand dysgraphia is just to kind of give you an example of a student that I worked with recently. So this student, I would say, is twice exceptional, brilliant, very, very high IQ. And beautiful oral language, vocabulary, speaking, can actually read quite well. But when he goes to write a sentence, you can barely read it, okay? Does not have fine motor difficulties, is not, qualifying for occupational therapy or anything like that. Can cut, can draw, can all these things. But when the brain goes to represent the letters that are needed to write a word, to put that on paper and to have the proper spacing, it looks like you have no idea what it is that they're trying to write. Okay, so that's layman's way of kind of.
Thank you, that's helpful, okay.
So to your point, we're going to start with dyslexia because it has such a high prevalence it's so prevalent in our population. Depending on what studies you're reading, 15 to 20% of the population has some degree of dyslexia. So because of that, we're starting really there. But we do have students now who we're concerned about dysgraphia. The identification or the qualification with like the DRSM model or book, how we identify is not as consistent across providers like psychoeducational testing and things like that. So it's a little bit more difficult. And although the state loops the two together, that's actually problematic because there are many students who have dysgraphia who do not have dyslexia. So we have a lot of work to do in that area. Is it coming? Yes. And do we have a need for it? Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Anybody else? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, board member remarks. Mr. Wells.
Have my microphone, please. Sure.
This is the good one.
Yeah, that's
That's a good one. All right, we'll just set that out here someplace. All right. You guys hear me out there? All right, good.
Just remember to keep talking right in.
Oh, I will, don't worry. You'll hear me,
Correction.
one way or the other.
These are-
First and foremost, it's nice to see everybody here. It's nice to see kind of a full room here, which isn't always the way it is. So it's nice to see a lot of people here engaged and wanting to see what's going on. Thank you, Ms. Pipitone and Mrs. Cahill for your presentation. We very much appreciate that. Appreciate not all the graphs and everything as we've kind of seen. So I appreciate kind of just getting down to the nuts and bolts of it and keeping us engaged and, not allowing some of us to go off into la-la land. I know the young woman who spoke, Audrey, left, but I appreciate her getting up. It takes a lot to come up here and speak, and being the only student as well, so that was pretty courageous for her, so I appreciate that. Dr. Slaber, thank you for your presentation. That was very informative. A lot of stuff that I really wasn't too informed on, I definitely am now. So thank you for that. Adriana, thank you for your presentation, the band concert and winter concert I'm looking forward to. The Science Olympiad, that's pretty awesome. I think that's 6th place as well. I wanted to just quickly congratulate Ms. Wilhelm in regards to the Sawyer Soars. I've been on the board for a little over 5 years now, and that's been a name I've kind of consistently heard throughout my time here. And I don't think you get enough of the credit for what you do. So we truly appreciate everything you've done and continue to do. And I hope that you will continue to do all the amazing things that you do. So thank you very much for that. And lastly, I had the opportunity to kind of attend the Distinguished Friends of Education this past couple weeks ago. And I wanted to just kind of shout out John and Peggy Mullen, who are the recipients for the Saugerties School District. Just two amazing people. I think they said that there were 33 or 35 scholarships that they handed out last year. They do a lot of stuff within the district itself, as far as Johnny coming in and showing how this stuff's made, basically.
Well, not that,
Well, not this bottle, but another bottle. And just, Peggy spending a lot of her time in education, and I know she continues to help children as far as tutoring on the outside right now. So I'm very grateful for them and what they do for the school, because they've allowed a lot of children and coming out of high school that aren't necessarily going the traditional college route to kind of grow and grow into their field with scholarships that allow them to maybe buy tools or stuff like that that kind of help them get in and get going. And that's a difficult thing as an 18-year-old student coming out, to get going in this world. And that's pretty much all I got. Thank you very much.
Ms. Grimalia.
Right into the mic.
I would like to second everything that Tim said, and thank you to everybody that has presented. We continue to learn a lot and be very educated. I always have more questions than I bring up because I have to watch my word count. But what I actually wanted to just reflect on for just very briefly is I'm about 6 months in on my school board stint. And for those of you that know, I am in private sector work. And in private sector work, things happen quickly. And I think the thing that's been most eye-opening to me, and if I can convey one thing to the public that is not either working for the district or involved in the board or somehow familiar with the way that the district works, there is a lot of due process that is attached to a lot of the decisions. So while something may seem like there's a really evident right answer, it's not as simple as just getting there quickly. There are a lot of things that have to be evaluated. There are a lot of rules that have to be followed about how things are evaluated, assessed, discussed, public meeting rules. And so things take a lot of time. And there's a lot in the works behind the scenes with everything we're talking about: curriculum, personnel, finances, but there is a lot to it. And I would just encourage you, before you pass judgment on how long something's taking or whether or not that you think that something is happening as quickly as it should, please ask the question of someone that can help you to understand what the process is, because there's a lot to it. And I feel like I'm just dipping my toe in, and it's been 6 months. So this is just from a layperson. I wish to continue to convey kind of the differences and how I see that, but it's been very eye-opening. So I would just encourage you to not assume that you know how it works. I've learned an enormous amount, and any of us are happy to answer questions about process, even if it's not content.
Thank you.
Still
Ms.
on?
Kelder?
Okay. Still on?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you, Dr. Schleber, for your very comprehensive presentation tonight. I think one of the hardest things to teach children is how to read. I mean, I was a former teacher, and I really found that was probably one of the hardest things to teach children, and even to teach my own children. My son did not like to read. I tried everything to try to get this child to want to read, and it was actually, he was having a reading difficulty, and it was through listening to Harry Potter on tape that he started to enjoy reading. I think just before I retired, we started to talk about the science of reading, and I found it very interesting. I want to thank Ms. Cahill and Ms. Pipitone for your presentation. And one thing that you said was that you both got the credential in the science of reading. And I feel as an administrator, for you to do that, to really understand what the expectation is of your teachers is so important, because now you know what they have to do and how comprehensive it is and how much that is. So I applaud you for that. And it was nice to see Audrey. I almost didn't recognize her. I think the last time I saw her, she was in first grade. So shout out to Audrey. So thank you.
Okay. Mr. Meyer.
Thanks, and thanks to Tim for a very detailed list, so I don't have to go through everything, but.
Say ditto.
Obviously, at the last meeting, we were congratulating a lot of the sports teams, football team for great seasons, and we've got some concerts coming up and one last week, so congratulations to all the athletes as well as the performers. Just quickly, I had the opportunity to attend the BOCES open house last week, and if anyone has the opportunity to go to open houses there, the new facility, I would encourage it. They're still trying to incorporate the curriculum into that big space, but it's a beautiful space with a lot of opportunities for the students. So if you do have the opportunity, I recommend it. And again, thanks to Adriana for your report. It's very detailed, and it's very helpful to hear what's going on with every school. So thank you.
I ditto from all the accolades to all the presenters tonight. It was very informative to hearing about everything that's going on from a literacy perspective, and to hear what's going on in Cahill, where my son goes. So I thank everyone for that. I wanted to let people know, if they don't know, we're coming into the cold winter months. Some people don't have the means to get cold weather gear, and the Saugerties Children's Library, the library children's room is doing this week, or I think for the rest of the month, a clothing swap. So you can drop off used coats, boots, snow pants, or go pick something up if you need something. So I just wanted to make people aware of that if they're not already aware of that. And then just a public safety announcement, and something came out from the district today, which I really, really appreciate. And that was about the pickup or drop off, pickup at the afternoon at the secondary campus. Yeah, on Friday, I witnessed at two different times within a 5-minute time frame, vehicles leave the pickup line, crossing the double yellow line, going out towards the campus, where the faculty parking lot is, and nearly 2 head-on collisions happened. People had to negotiate around to get through, and it was kind of frightening to watch. So I'm really glad that the district sent out that notification about the safety of that, and so everyone gets home safely. So I do appreciate that. And then lastly, this is our last meeting before the holidays, so I want to wish everyone Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, whatever you may celebrate, and have a happy winter break. Thank you.
Miss Irizarry.
I'm passing today.
Dr. Haas.
I have nothing to say.
Yeah.
I want to echo all of the thanks. I am particularly interested in the AI information. So we were not able to have our policy meeting because of the snow. I was ready for it. And we do have, we've got a bunch of policies we're going to be looking at in January. I encourage everybody to sign up who might be interested. You can go to the website and sign up for any of the committees, but we will be meeting at the beginning of January. And one of the things I want to discuss there is how we, as a committee and a board, can actually get feedback on how AI is being used in the district, right? Because while it may have a lot of potential, right, there are a lot of other things that have been shiny and new. And it's like, oh, it's going to have a lot of potential, and we still have kids who aren't reading in 12th grade. And so there are also a lot of risks. And then there's a lot of just giving away all of our creative energies to a machine that then sends it back to us, telling us how great it is. So I'm really interested in having that conversation. I invite any and all of you to that conversation in January. I want to iterate what Ms. Gormolia said about asking questions. I think that's because we get very triggered by whatever's happening, and we're excited and passionate about various issues in the district, and we want to hear everybody's voice, but it really helps if that voice comes in the form of a question that we can answer and then sort of look at. And so, and then I want to thank Adriana again for the list of things I have down here. I'm going to be down in New Paltz tomorrow, so I'm going to go to the art show at Ulster BOCES, which again, to remind people, is open from 8 to 4. And also the clothing swap, because I still, even though I have a 21-year-old in my house, I still have kids' clothes that is snow gear. So that is great to know about. And yeah, thank you so much again for the focus on literacy, because without it, really in a pickle. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I just have a couple of things. One, I'll go on, I tend to not mention everything that everybody else mentions, and thanks. One thing I will say is if you didn't have an opportunity, last week was our band concert, and we got to see our two new band instructors, Mr. Newsom and Mr. Oriani. And if you get a chance to see them, they are amazing. You know, Mr. Newsom, my son, is in the wind ensemble, and Mr. Newsom, who heads up the senior high band and all that, how he made it all about the kids and the students, and even how he introduced them and had them, you know, he had the percussion group come out with a closed curtain and play a tune on their music things. It just, our music stands, thank you. Our music department is heading in the right direction with those two and Miss McDougal on chorus. You know, that area is amazing. So that's one thing nobody mentioned. So I will mention that one. A couple of things that I have, obviously going into a little bit more serious stuff, is I understand that our staff and our community are going to have questions about a personnel item that is on our agenda tonight. Please understand that with the confidentiality that is afforded every personnel matter, this particular issue is also accompanied by what's called a standard New York State statutory revocation period. Is that New York State Ed and Council speak? Yes. What does it mean? It means during that period, we are legally unable to provide any additional context to that issue. The other thing I would say is no one should read anything or interpret anything into that item other than the wording on the agenda. When we are able to provide more information, we will provide as much information about that as we legally are able to, okay? Another thing that I know everybody wants an update on, the investigation is complete. It is done. We are starting to get and really review the findings and the things that happened. The investigation uncovered issues across our entire organization. Ms. Grimolia, I didn't tell her to say that, but I would like things to go faster as well. I also come from the private sector. I also come from a sector that unless you move really fast, you die, right? And so I've had to adjust and understand, as I mentioned with that other issue, there are New York State education things we must follow. There are tenure issues we must follow. We must deal very closely and understandably, which is great, with the unions and how we change even policies and things that will affect our teachers. That is all being done. So as I say it, when I say it uncovered issues across the organization. Some were big, some were smaller, some were in between. Some will take a lot of work to fix, and some are already fixed. While the initial investigation was targeted at a certain complaint that came in, what it did do was it launched looking at a bunch of other things that have happened in our district. One in particular, I mean, nobody likes to know. We had to look at the entire investigation and communication process around the incident that occurred with our former band teacher. And a lot of information came out or was understood about that, about what happened and what we need to do to change certain things. Our entire HR process, from our personnel, from job descriptions, from how people in this district are hired, from how people in this district are let go. All of that has been looked at. Starting in January, we will start to release what we can about the investigation. The one thing we will not do, two things, excuse me, we will not do. We will not release something that the investigation found that was wrong without a corresponding solution. It serves nobody just to say this was done wrong unless we know how we're going to fix it, which at the end of the day is the really important thing, okay? Number two, we are not, as we release things that were wrong or need to be fixed, be about placing blame. I've said that since that wonderful session I attended at the senior center. This was not, the easiest thing to do is make people afraid about a problem and tell them who's to blame for it. We are gonna highlight what's wrong, because that's what we promised to do, and we're gonna tell people how we are gonna solve it. And that is where we would love feedback on how we solve things. Dr. Haas has already started, we started the process back in October with all the policies and how things need to change in the policies, from the fraternization policy to our transportation policy. And those, we've worked very closely with our unions because it affects them and how they do things. So as Michelle started this conversation, I would like this all to be done in a week. It's not going to be. But the investigation is complete. We will now start to assess how we fix things going forward, okay? All right, thank you. Personnel, instructional and non-instructional. So in here, we have a couple of resignations, a TA, a couple of things just around like a bowling club and things like that. There's one that contingent on being appointed a full-time TA, so he's, Sean McCarthy is leaving as a part-time monitor but coming back. We have a couple of leaves of absence, and then appointments. There are a lot of appointments. I think the one big one for everyone who's listened to this stuff, I'm sorry? Our Spanish teacher. Yeah. Finding a Spanish teacher and a technology teacher are impossible. We have a Spanish teacher. And then across these, we have some substitutes and some other items. So I have a motion to accept I-1, 2, and 3.
Move it.
By Mr. Myers, seconded by Ms. Kelder. Any questions on all this? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Business office recommendations, treasurer's report, recommendations, appropriations, internal claims audit, our budget development calendar, which will start amazingly quickly. There is one in here, just because the number is so big. It's not in the agenda itself. It's in our backup. Is the summary of unpaid taxes. So amazingly, and I'm always amazed, the amount of unpaid taxes right now is 3.2 million. So, Mr. Steiger, 30 seconds, you can take more than 30 seconds. Explain how the district is made whole on the 3.2 million, that it's not coming out of our budget just because people didn't pay their taxes.
Yes, so sure. We ended collecting taxes in the middle of November, and the counties collected those taxes for a short amount of time. Now those taxes, if they remain unpaid, are rolled into the January 1st town property tax bill. In the spring, the county will make us whole on those unpaid taxes as part of their settlement period. They do that for all central school districts. City school districts are excluded, so we will be made whole on those taxes, but it won't be until the springtime.
The spring, okay, thank you. Save Michelle a question.
I asked.
Okay, reserves report. All right, so a motion to accept J1 through 7.
That motion.
By Ms. Grimolia, second by Ms. Bellarosa. Any questions, other questions? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, board action items. We have our normal CSE and CPSC, and then our 504s, a separation agreement that I mentioned, transportation contract extensions, New York Food Day bid resolution. Dr. Rohrbach, can you give us 15 seconds on what is that, New York Food Day? You told me earlier this afternoon, but.
Sure, so We work with PNW BOCES, we piggyback on that, COSER and resolution, and it's 30% farm-to-school initiative. So for example, Sheila Melville, she buys all our breads from a local farm, Gill Farm, and she does tastings as well. So it's an initiative, farm-to-school.
Okay, thank you. And then we have OGS contract proposal resolution. It's basically the closing out of the contract for our Cahill fire alarm system. And we're having a new club. We have a Habitat for Humanity Builders Club. Fantastic. And who's doing that? Oh, Mr. Catalano, okay. Golf club, teaching assistant. If there's anything else in here, okay. No. So a motion to approve items K1 through 12. By Ms. Kelder.
Second.
Second by Mr. Wells. Any questions on any of those items? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Ms. Belrosa, audit.
Nothing to report.
Nothing to report. We like that out of audit. Ms. Gramalia, facilities.
Nothing to report.
Yeah, I like this good too. You already gave your policy. You got
I
anything else?
gave my policy. Come in January. We got a lot going on.
Okay. All right, that includes the normal agenda. A motion to recess into executive session. In this executive session, we're reviewing a draft of the Human Resource Initiative components. And we have a discussion with the Saugerties Town Supervisor and Saugerties Police Chief regarding our school resource program. So moved by Mr. Wells.
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Moya. Any questions? Okay. And just for everybody's, we will, when we do reconvene, we don't plan on voting on anything. Nothing's going to come out of exec session that we need to vote on.